All right, so this is the first podcast. I have got no formal intro here, but this is my co-founder, Alex. My name's Ganor, and we make scaling to 8 figures easy for health and wellness e-commerce brands. And this podcast is really just going to be a value dump. There is no sort of structure to this podcast. And yeah, I've just got a bunch of questions. We're going to ask each other questions, going to provide some value, and it's going to be a good one. You got anything to say, Alex?
Honestly, if you're stuck at 7 figures and you are trying to scale to $1 million a month, there is no reason you shouldn't watch this podcast because we make it easy. Just pay attention. Like take out a pen and paper. Pen and paper. I've got my books here. I got my books here, and I've always got them in front of me because the second I'm watching anything valuable, I'm always taking notes. I've got a whiteboard here as well, which is currently covered in notes. I'm constantly learning. I know Ganor's constantly learning, and like the people who are at $1 million a month, they're always learning as well. The learning doesn't stop, and you have to keep learning. Like, just take on this value. It's the best thing that you can do right now. It genuinely is the best thing that you can do right now. I think that's one of the biggest things that hold entrepreneurs back from scaling to 7-figure months to $1 million a month. It's just the fact that it's everybody thinks that it's about the meta ads and it's all about the creators. And yeah, sure, that plays a part in scaling to $1 million a month, but like, would it really be a problem if their mindset was in check?
It all just comes down to the mindset. I mean, because you're the one actually putting the knowledge to action, right? Getting the right knowledge isn't that hard. The knowledge is there.
Yeah, bro. The knowledge is there, and the thing is like, I know you know about this. I'm not sure if the viewers know about this. Where you have your beliefs, and your beliefs directly stem to your reality. And I mean, if you like don't believe that, sorry, if you believe that you are just automatically the cleverest person alive, then you won't ever go ahead and learn anything. Like your ego will be too big, and you won't want to go ahead and learn anything from anyone, and you'll think you're the best. And I mean, your ad account will tell you that you're wrong. Your revenue will tell you that you're wrong. Your profit will tell you that you're wrong. But you'll just continue doing what you're doing. Like, to me, it doesn't make sense. I know probably for you, it doesn't make sense as well, because we've had mindset training, and we've gone through absolutely everything, and we know exactly the nature of mindset and how to actually achieve goals and the nature of self-transcendence. But most people don't. And I find it absolutely crazy because like it's the single most important thing for any 7-figure brand who's trying to scale to 8 figures. And it's that number specifically because the biggest change happens there in Ecom. I think the biggest change happens when they're scaling from, 200K a month, 300K a month, even 600K a month to $1 million a month. Everybody thinks it's just more input, but yeah, that there's more input to the system, but there's also so much change in the infrastructure and the processes that needs to happen. And that's only going to be you're only going to be able to facilitate that change and that growth if you have the mindset that's sort of like required. It's a prerequisite for you to do that.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think enough people actually talk about the mindset and stuff. And I think it's because it's like overused a little bit. Like we've all been scrolling on like motivational reels at like 2 a.m. watching like have the growth mindset, don't have a stuck mindset. I think that's fixed mindset. Yeah. Don't have a fixed mindset, all that stuff. But that is what it really comes down to. And I think that's why so many billionaires keep preaching that over and over again. That is what it really comes down to. But Alex, the first question I had here for us both to answer was, why do you think most e-commerce brands actually get stuck when they're trying to scale past like 100 to 300K a month, when they start hitting those 10K days? Why do you think they actually get stuck?
Well, the biggest reason is what we just spoke about. I think the mindset. Like if they get their mindset straight, it becomes. I think it becomes easier because the thing is, well, no, we know it becomes easier because we've seen it play out in real life. But it becomes easier because you're just like, I'm not trying to become all airy fairy on this, right? But you become more aligned with the goal, and what that means is you believe certain things that will allow you to take the certain actions that you need to take in order to achieve the reality of whatever your goal is, past 300K per month. So it might be 600K a month if that's your goal. Then you need to act in the way that a 600K per month entrepreneur would act. And for you to act that way, you need to have these certain beliefs, because as we know, cognitive dissonance will not allow you to act in a different way according to your beliefs, right? I think that's the biggest thing. I think the other things are mostly, people aren't going to like this, but people can't think straight. They can't think straight. They can't think properly. They have no concept of like systems thinking when like to scale to those numbers, you really do need systems in place. They don't have to be elaborate systems. You don't have to have SOPs for absolutely every single contingency that can possibly happen. But you do need to know what's going on. You need to know that there is an input. You need to know that there are processes and stimuli, and there is an output. And you need to know like what happens in between all of these processes. What happens? What are the SOPs? What do you do in between the input, which is later conditions from the market? So all of your market research up until the point of where they buy, right? And everything in between there, most entrepreneurs are just like completely raw dogging it. Like they don't know what's going on. Like they just go, oh yeah, I had this idea for an ad because I saw a billboard like driving to the shop, and I like this concept and I like this design, and I want to go ahead and put it on Meta. It's like that's not how it works.
It's not.
That's really not how it works.
See,
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that people can't think straight. There's system thinking, and there's also the fact that again, like ego is a massive thing. I want to put a bit more emphasis on ego because ego is just like, I mean, you know what ego does. But in a
mm,
way to explain it for the viewers is it's difficult because it's like it's not like you think that you're the cleverest person alive. It's just that you refuse to take on any information that contradicts your current beliefs. Like if you think a certain format is currently printing, and then I come ahead and tell you, oh no, it's not. Here's a proof. There are 50 ad accounts that are telling you no, it's not. You're going to like reject that information. You're going to continue going on with your beliefs because that's just your ego getting in the way, right?
yeah, and I think that's a big part of our mission as well, to really make sure that we can, like, this is the first podcast, right? We're very early into the industry compared to all the other big dogs, but I really do want to make this like the standard of learning inside e-commerce in like the next 5 to 10 years. Genuinely, where mindset is one of the most important things. But listen, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of mindset. I wanted to ask you, as you were saying the systems and stuff, this is something that I've been thinking about as well recently because we're creating a lot more ads for our clients now as well. Do you think they should be following, like the brand owners watching this or anyone who makes ads watching this, they should be following a system every single time, step by step, to create the ads so that when they do start making winning ads from that, they can actually teach it and outsource it to someone? Or should they just raw dog it, and whenever something works, then they actually go a little bit more deeper into the process of how they made that?
I think there is a middle ground here where you definitely don't want to be raw dogging it. Like if you just raw dog it, you don't know anything. It's just going to take you 3 times longer to create the same amount of output as us because we have systems, right? And ecom is obviously the most competitive space on earth. So if you want to really compete, you need to like speed to ads, right? You really need to be quick when you're creating your ads if you have an idea, because the thing is, I guarantee everybody else is also having ideas, and the teams that are getting their creators out the fastest, they're just absolutely conquering the ads manager, right? But the Facebook ads library. But I also don't think that it should be so structured as in like, okay, so first you write your headlines and next you write your creatives, and then you go ahead and you look over this point inside of your market research, and then you go ahead and design the colors. It's like that's too rigid, right? There is a fine balance here where you need a framework as to how you go ahead and do things. So in my personal opinion, in my personal experience, whenever I've tried creating ads, I'm not the best graphic designer, but I can make some pretty good looking ads, and they actually work because like we just understand, okay, we look at the market research. As we're looking through it, like we understand after we go through the market research, we're going to start writing. We're going to start writing a copy, whether it's for a script, for a video ad, or whether it's just a static ad, right? Just points or a headline or whatever, right? We're going to go ahead and write after we go ahead and do the research. But I mean, if I get ideas whilst I'm doing the market research, I will turn to my whiteboard and I'll just jot down notes. Like, okay, here are a couple ideas, and I'll just jot them down. Like, there's nothing telling me like, oh, you can't write. It's against the law to write anything down when you're doing your research.
Mm.
What do you think?
I think, yeah, that's definitely one of the biggest things. I think it all just stems on your research, but you are right about being the too rigid and everything like that. Because recently we did come up with sort of an improved process to write ads. But one of the notes, and you read this the other day as well, one of the notes I put on the document was, don't be too rigid, let your creativity flow a little bit. And the reason for that is if we be too rigid with everything, I just can't see us making good ads that way. Like, okay, let me write 7 headlines. Let me write 3 body copies. Okay, now this is the next step. You got to let your creativity flow a bit. Like, literally, sometimes I open up Reddit as I'm actually writing my ad copies because I'm like, okay, I need to get in the mind of the market a little bit more. But I think it's definitely about not really putting yourself to either end of, I guess, the poles, right? A or B. It's like you can find somewhere in the middle. That's what I would
Yeah,
definitely say. And
yeah, definitely. It's crazy because I had a point I was gonna make and I just forgot it as I started talking.
that's all right, bro. I was going to ask you as well that this is something that's so widely spread in the ecom space, but do you think testing more creatives is genuinely good advice, or is it just like sort of incomplete advice?
When people say, yeah, test more creatives, everybody thinks that you need to genuinely test for volume. And that's a complete wrong intention. At the scale of like 7 figures and you're trying to scale to 8 figures, when you are testing volume, you need to be testing for like velocity, like how quickly can you test? And that will naturally bring volume because you understand like, okay, I'm going to upload the static. If it doesn't give me any direction within 2 days, I'm turning it off, right? Shutting the whole thing down. And then I'm analyzing, why did it not work? Why did it work if it worked, right? Or why did it have a high CTR but no purchases? Like, what is the incongruency between the landing page and the ad, right? So I think testing velocity is the biggest thing. Obviously, it's very difficult when you don't have a team in place because, I mean, most 7-figure brand owners we know, they're just creating their ads themselves. They're doing all the copywriting themselves, they're briefing themselves, they're doing all the research themselves, they're doing all the video editing themselves. It's like it's a big pain, but the thing is, you either need to hire someone for that to do those things for you, or you need to do them properly. You can't skip steps. You have to take your learnings. And I think that's another big thing. That's another big thing that stops anybody really scaling their ad account. I'm not sure if you've heard, but so many e-com operators just don't take learnings from their ads. Like they don't do it. They have an ad that worked, and they think, yeah, that hook worked. Okay, that hook worked. Why did it work, bro? It
Yeah,
doesn't make
literally.
sense. Like why? I think that's that's definitely the most important question in 2026 that anybody can ask. Just why? If you ask why enough times, you'll get rich.
Yeah, Socrates had it.
Yeah, no,
Big
definitely.
man
Look,
Socrates.
you ask why enough times, you just get down to the core reason. And once you have the core reason, you can just go ahead and implement that to any ad. Like we had this with a client of ours like recently where you remember this guy was selling mastic gum and he's just looking at the surface level shit. Like he's looking at the surface level shit and he's going, okay, well, this hook works and this CTA works. But like it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's the thing underneath that works, right? It's the psychology underneath it. And that's why I recommend every e-com brand owner reads psychology and learns so much more about psychology. It's just gonna 10x your output on your creatives.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's also the thing why in ecom, ecom's like maybe the only industry where we see people make like hundreds of thousands of dollars and then go back right down to zero because they had maybe a product that was pretty good, but they just saw someone saying like claymation ads are ripping, and then they launched their claymation ad and it genuinely rips. And then they, like 3 months later, when everyone in their grandma's doing it, they don't understand why it actually worked in the first place, so they can't actually go ahead and replicate that success. And I think that's what it really comes down to. Like, this is again just a mindset thing. Like, they're just trying to look for the next shiny object, next claymation ad, next sort of thing that works. It's crazy. Like, even the guys doing really, really big numbers. Like, I'm not going to name the brand we're actually working with right now, but this brand reached out to us saying that they want only AI creatives. Even they don't understand. These guys are doing millions per month. Even they don't understand that it's not the format that's printing, it's the angle, it's the research that you put behind it. Obviously, the
Yeah,
format's
exactly.
good to catch attention and all that stuff, but it's definitely not the thing.
Let me make one thing clear to the viewers. Your format is just a way of delivering the message and the psychology behind your ad to the customer. That is all the format is. Do not think anything else of the format. The format, if you rely on a format to make you sales, you're fucked. There's no simpler way to say it. I'm spelling it out clear for you. If you rely on a format to make you sales, you are completely, utterly fucked. Because how many other people are going to use your exact same format and saturate the shit out of that format? It, it blows my mind, bro. It blows my mind. But the thing is, I also forget sometimes that most people don't think like this and they don't understand. They haven't been exposed to the information. It's just like,
And
makes
that's the
sense.
sad part. They've got good products, you know. They deserve the
Yeah.
success, but it's just again the ego thing. They think they know everything. And I don't know, maybe some people have already stopped watching this because their ego was flaring up, you know, which
Yeah.
is, that's the thing. The more you think you don't need the mindset, the more you think you don't need new knowledge, the more you usually do. There are some
Yeah.
certain scenarios where, yeah, okay, you've read 100 books, you probably don't need to read 101. But, I mean, you can always take in more knowledge, right? I wanted to ask you as well, we were talking about feedback loops, sort of learnings and stuff earlier, right? There's a bunch of names for it, but basically understanding why your ad did or didn't work. How do you actually go about that? Let's say you've just had a losing ad that ended up spending maybe a few $1,000s, but it wasn't actually, I guess, hitting our target CPA or target ROAS or whatever. How would you actually go about doing that step by step?
Take a learn from an ad. So we're analyzing the loser, yeah? Okay. First thing, go look at some winners. Like, understand what a winning ad looks like first. Because the thing is, you can't have a loser if you don't know what a winner is. You can't understand what a loser is if you don't know what a winner is, right? You need to go look at some winners. And best if it's within your ad account. If you haven't had any winners yet, then go ahead and find some other winners. There are tons of swipe files you can find online. But go look at the winners and sort of analyze the winners first. This is what I always like to do. I always like to analyze the winners first and take learnings from them. And the way you're going to do that is literally every 2-3 seconds, just pause the video as you're playing. Like, play the hook, 2-3 seconds, stop. Write down everything that was said, what happened, why you think it worked. And then the next 2-3 seconds, pause it, write down everything you think worked, why you think it worked. And I mean, once you get to the end, you're going to have like 4 or 5 pages of notes of thoughts that you never thought like entered your brain. These thoughts were just in your head. They were just sitting in your head, but now you've put them onto paper. You can sort of actually see the sort of theory behind every single one of these ads that are really performing, right? And once you go ahead and do that with the loser, you just need to go ahead and do the exact same thing with the winner. And another key thing to sort of look at with the winner is, where is the bottleneck? We understand bottleneck and systems thinking, but for the people who don't know, a bottleneck is basically a point in which your system is basically constricting throughput. So let's say you have 100 people going through a tunnel, and then the tunnel gets really narrow. Only like 2 people can fit in through a time. Now it doesn't matter what comes after. If the tunnel after it gets narrow opens up back wide again, because only 2 people can get through that narrow bit, and so you have to understand that there are bottlenecks. This is much easier to see within landing pages, but you can also see this with ads, where you can sort of see, okay, well, my hook rate was fine. I've got a really nice hook rate. I've got a hook rate of like 60%, let's say, which is okay. It's not bad. But let's say then you have like a through play rate of like, let's say 2%. That means like 2% of the people who watch your ad ended up staying to the end, right? Only 2% actually stay to the end. And this is really, really important, because then you can understand, like, okay, well, my bottleneck isn't in my hook. Like, the hook worked. So let's not analyze why the hook didn't work, because it obviously did work. Like, let's find out why the hook worked. Analyze the hook. And then you need to analyze the whole in that case, right? Or if it's a static ad, you need to analyze, okay, why did people not click through? Maybe my offer wasn't good enough. Let me check the offers on my other ads. Let me check the offers on my other ads. Let me see what's going wrong. And if you really just sit down and you actually put a little bit of effort into it, it's not really that difficult. It really isn't that difficult. You just need to like think, what is the mechanism behind the ad that's forcing the customer to act upon it? Am I articulating myself clearly?
I think you are. I mean, it makes sense to me because obviously we've been through the training, right? And we've probably watched that one video we're both thinking about probably like 3 or 4 times now, and I'm planning to watch it again in around a week from now. But I think it makes a lot of sense. That's what I was going to add as well, as you started from analyzing the winner. That's actually something I didn't even think of. So honestly, that's really clever. I think we should be analyzing the winner so we know what works, and then we can start to see why something didn't work. But when it comes to looking at the data as well, I think that is one of the most important metrics as well. And it's really not that hard. Like you said, it's literally hook rate, through play rate, and then like through play or hold rate, you could say as well, right? Or the CTR. Like it's literally just these three that you have to look at, and you'll
Yeah.
start to understand why an ad didn't work. And sometimes I've literally noticed that even ads with really good hook rates can't work either. And that's because I think we saw that ad together on a meeting. We were reviewing it, and it was literally just a
Yeah.
girl there, and she's going to hook everyone, right? But as soon as we transition to the selling, everyone's just scrolling past.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that, you have to. That's why I don't like doing the really trendy sort of hooks and everything, like a baseball bat being thrown into the camera or something. It'll hook people, but it won't sell them, right? It won't really sell them. But I know I'm kind of calling you out there because you did do that one.
Yeah, I know that. But what do you think about ROAS?
Oh, I mean, ROAS is just there to like screenshots on Twitter, right? You get engagement if you post your screenshots.
Yeah. Look,
That's
look,
really
look, look at
all
me.
it's for.
Look at me. I got 4x ROAS. But
Yeah, bro, ROAS doesn't
come on.
mean shit. Like, honestly, I think that's why so many operators, like genuine operators of ecom brands, or like the founder of Groons, Hexclads and all these guys, they're not on Twitter because their mind's about to blow up when they're seeing all these tweets from people flexing their ROAS and everything. Like the aim is to have the lowest possible ROAS so you can still acquire customers profitably at. That is the goal. And honestly, I'm hoping that, all of our clients really do actually understand this, because some don't. Some don't understand this, but I really hope everyone in ecom just understands this, that it's all about a game of LTV. AOV is good, but LTV is better because LTV is going to build a real brand. AOV is okay, but I think it's more so about acquiring customers for the lowest ROAS or the highest CPA possible without going unprofitable. I think that would be the main thing. Would you add anything to that?
I think one key like distinction to make, because I think everything you said was right. I just want to make sure people aren't confused. When we're talking about ROAS, we're talking about first purchase ROAS, like straight off cold traffic, like first purchase ROAS, right? Where someone sees an ad and they go to your landing page and they purchase, right? In general, if you're accounting your LTV within your ROAS, then yeah, ROAS is the most important thing, obviously, because you're accounting for all the revenue. But the point that we're trying to make here is exactly what you said, like AOV. Yeah, if you have a high AOV, we're not telling you to lower it because it's evil. Like, AOV is amazing. It's not this like scary beast that you have to be scared of, right? It's an amazing thing, but don't fixate over your AOV. Don't fixate over your first purchase ROAS. Like, that is not where the money is, because 75 to 80% of your purchases are going to happen on the back end, not on the front end, on the back end. And so why would you focus? Like, it's Pareto's principle, right? Most people have heard of Pareto's principle. If you haven't heard of it, it basically means that 20% of your inputs are going to equate to 80% of your outputs, right? And if you're putting like 100% of your input, or let's say 80% of your input into the 20%, like, it's just a complete waste of time. Whereas if you take that time and you focus that on the back end stuff, like you're getting people to stay longer, so they churn less. And by the way, if you're not running a subscription offer, you're completely fucked. And that's a side note. But yeah, if you're running a subscription offer and you have like people churning, like, how do you get them to stop from churning? How do you get people to buy again? How do you get old customers who haven't bought in like 6 months to come back and buy again? Like, how do you do these things? How do you upsell people from just a one-time purchase into a subscription offer? How do you do these things? And if you you actually spend time figuring out how to do that, it's so much more of an asymmetric activity. Asymmetric being you spend a little bit of time and you get absolutely crazy outputs, but you get absolutely crazy returns. It's like winning the jackpot on the lottery or in the casino. Like, you put $1 in, you get $100 out. Except for this time, it's in your control. It's not like the machines are rigged. It's in your control. You put $1 in, you get $100 out. But that's what ecom is at the end of the day.
Yeah. 100%. And with the LTV, you sort of touched on subscriptions as well, but let's say if a brand, it doesn't really make sense for them to actually run subscriptions. Like, it's kind of weird if they run subscriptions on like socks or clothes. I don't know why anyone running those kind of brands be watching this because we do work with health and wellness brands, but let's say they are, right? How would you go about actually increasing LTV there?
You see, the LTV for like clothing, again, we're not that experienced in clothing. So if you're a clothing operator, don't take our word for this. Do some a bit more research, right? But just off the top of my head, like everything that we know currently about ecom, how the economy works, how people buy, I can confidently say that the buying cycles in like the clothing industry is much longer. Whereas in health and wellness, it's like every month you need a new batch of you need a new batch of supplements, right? So I buy a supplement and I know that this has 30 servings and one serving per day is gonna empty it completely. And I know in 30 days I'm gonna need another one, right? Whereas with clothing, like I've had this shirt. No, not this shirt. This is a relatively new shirt. But let's say like this is a piece of clothing that I've had. Let's say this is a hat. I've had this hat for 6 years. Yeah, it's a little bit like rugged on the edges, but doesn't really cause me enough pain to go buy another hat, right? So the biggest thing here is like you have, in order for you to increase your LTV, if you can't create a subscription offer with your current products, I recommend adding a product that you can introduce a subscription offer with, because like in 2026 and going forward, like it's only going to get more prevalent where you just need a subscription offer. Like it's going to be 4, 5, 6 times harder to scale, because here's the thing: every other brand is running a subscription offer, and that makes them more competitive. And if you're not as competitive as your competitors, they're going to outcompete you. They're going to buy all of your customers through their ads, and they're going to take all of their money. And your customers will not have any money left to spend on your brand, right? You need to outcompete. And the biggest way to outcompete is, David Ogilvy said it, you have to acquire a customer for more. Whoever can pay the most to acquire a customer wins in the end, right? And so if you can't acquire a customer for that much, that's why you're relying on front end AOV or front end return on ad spend, like you're done for. Like you really do need to. I hope I'm not making anyone cry listening to this. I don't want to be like all doom and gloom. Like there is a bright side to this, and the bright side is you become a fucking billionaire. Like
Yeah.
look at Chad Janis, the man went from zero to $1.2 billion in 3 years. Like it's so possible. It's totally possible.
Mm.
You just need to understand that you need either a subscription offer, or you need to find a way to increase LTV. And the way to increase LTV is just, I guess you could do seasonal drops with clothing brands if it doesn't really make sense to run a subscription offer. But even then, like there is always an idea. Like you just have to be creative. Whether it's cleaning products specifically for your shirts that you're selling, like let's say this shirt, I can't just throw this shirt into the washing machine. It's like made out of special fabric. And so in this case, like somebody could say, hey, yeah, bring your shirt in once a month or once every 2 weeks and we'll give it a wash for you. And yeah, like that could be a subscription offer. Like you just have to be creative about it. You can't be so stuck up where it's like, oh yeah, I only follow the industry norms and what works, because if you do that, you're always going to be following the norm. And the nature of being an entrepreneur is you go against the norm, right?
Yeah.
That's the nature of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all it really comes down to at the end of the day is, how can I provide more value to my customers so they actually want to pay me more? Because obviously you could actually just like do more drops and stuff. And I think that is probably the best way, especially if you don't have a very sort of subscription-like product where subscriptions actually make sense. Just find a way to either get people to pay more front end or get people to keep coming back, which is basically building a brand, doing some seasonal drops, you know. And one more thing, I'm sort of getting into sort of the hack or trick sort of territory. But if you see people, if you see people only buying one main thing from your site, let's say you have 100K in sales this month and 50K of those sales came from a certain product, I would even test adding that product as sold out, but adding it as a free gift if they hit a certain AOV threshold, which can be slightly above that product. That's something I've seen work. Now we're getting into like the hack or the trick territory, so you might try this and everything fails and you hate me forever, but I guess it is what it is. Try it if you want, try it at your own risk, but that does work because people just want that one thing. I was talking to a guy, a huge agency owner, a lot of you may know him as well. He was actually telling me that there was this one store selling pink hats, and the pink hat was generating 40% of the revenue. So they started to actually just basically switch up the entire sales mechanism. Instead of selling the pink hat, they said pink hat's sold out, but we do have it for free if you have an AOV of $80. Like if you spend $80 or more, you get it for free. And their AOV literally bumped up to $80 overnight. So it does work, but try it at your own risk. Now,
Yeah,
another
the only
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, go on. I was
No, I
going
was
to
just
just
gonna
ask the next question.
I was just gonna say that the only thing I'll be a bit careful about there is if you're not a big brand and like people don't know your product, be a bit careful there because otherwise there's not going to be any demand for your products. There's not going to be any demand there.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the only thing I'll
100%.
say.
Yeah. So, how do you think AOV, when we talk about AOV, how would you go about increasing AOV for brands that have dialed in the LTV, but they want to increase the front end AOV as well to be able to scale harder?
I would ask why.
Well, let's say we have to keep it simple, $100, right? We have $100 a month subscription, and over 12 months, one customer ends up paying us around $600, which is actually way above industry standards. So it's okay, it's not that bad. But now they want to scale even harder. So they're thinking, okay, what should we do to actually increase the AOV a little bit more so we can make some more money from the customer? How would you go about that?
One thing I haven't heard being spoken about too much, and I mean, the brand that I actually bought these nose strips from, High Strips, they do quite a good job about this, where they they will allow you to basically. Okay, so I bought these packets of nose strips, right? And 30 nose strips come inside a packet, right? They last 24 to 48 hours each. They're amazing. Sponsor me, High Strips. but but yeah, they come with all these they come with all of these nose strips. The thing that they do well is they have an info like bonus, like an info book bonus, and they have two of them, and they come online, right? And these two books, like, I didn't really want them. Like I didn't need them. They didn't really solve any problems for me. But the thing is, it just made paying more money more sense, right? It made more sense because I'm just getting more value out of it. And regardless of if that value is worth it to me or not, that's a different question. But these books are nonetheless like these info books, these ebooks are still nonetheless very nice to have. And it just shows like, first of all, not only is it going to increase your AOV, but it's going to improve your image as a brand because like now I think about High Strips and like before I bought my product, I went ahead and thought, okay, well, they just sell like nasal strips. After buying their product, I can see the brand, I can see the people behind it, and I can see what they really stand for as a brand. And it puts this image of the brand in their head. And I mean, that's a great way to increase LTV, just to better your brand, like get cult like fans of your brand who really align with what you're standing for as a brand. But in order to increase AOV, like obviously there has to be, like, it's going to be sound like very generic advice, but better copy. Like just get better at copywriting, get better at copywriting, um, because the whole premise there is you will be able to get someone to pay more if they think it's worth the money. And people will think it's worth the money if it's alleviating the pain. And there's a direct correlation between how much someone is willing to pay and the amount of pain someone is feeling or the amount of pain someone is in, right? It's like if I've got a minor headache, I'd be happy to spend $2, $3, $4 on a solution. But any more than that, I'm just like, yeah, fuck you. I'm gonna deal with it, right? I'm just gonna deal with it. But if I've got a severe migraine, bro, I'm willing to dish out hundreds of dollars on it. And if I've had this migraine for a week and it's not going away, no matter what I do, it just keeps getting worse. I'm willing to dish out thousands of dollars at it because it's so much more pain, right?
I
So
agree.
yeah, just amplify the pain within your copy. Another thing is to instead of increasing your AOV, so like you want to make more money on the front end. I understand that. You want to make more money on the front end to increase your profit. That is the sole reason. So you don't want to increase your AOV just because you like the letters AOV and you want to like correlate a bigger number between them. Like that's just not how it works. You're doing it because you want more profit. You're doing it because you want more profit. Like your LTV is already dialed in. Your AOV isn't bad. Like it's so profitable on the front end. One thing you could do is just start writing congruent landing pages with every single ad that you write. Like this is another big thing. And it's absolutely essential if you want to scale to $1 million a month. You want to scale to $1 million a month, you really need to start making congruent landing pages with your angles. And a lot of people will think, oh yeah, my landing pages are congruent. No, the fuck they're not. and like they're either not congruent, or you're just not going tight enough with your targeting on ads. Like if I make an ad, right, and I'm selling again, let's just say these are socks. Actually, no, let's go a bit more specific. Let's say I'm selling Shilajit gummies, right? Really specific. I'm selling Shilajit gummies. There are 30 gummies in here. They fit in here. And I go ahead and I just like advertise, yeah, if you want more testosterone, buy these Shilajit gummies. But the thing is, that's not specific enough because everybody says that. Everybody says that. You could say that to like 6 different people and they would all sort of feel some sort of affinity towards it. So if you appeal to everyone, you appeal to no one, right? And so this is another thing. You need to be super specific in your ads because once you're specific in your ads, you can create more of an impact on the ad level. Your ads are going to be more profitable on an ad level. And then you can create landing pages that are congruent towards that ad, towards that sub avatar, towards that angle, right? And then that alone, that congruency is going to absolutely skyrocket your revenue per visitor because you're just going to have much higher conversion rate and you're going to get a much cheaper customer acquisition cost, which obviously is allowing more profit for you to have on the AOV side of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was honestly spot on. There was only one thing I would add as well, and that would be just actually focusing on the revenue per visitor. Like, I think we need a little bit more emphasis on that because I just asked you how to increase the AOV. And AOV is good, but what if you actually increase your AOV, but you end up getting less revenue per visitor, right? And for anyone watching, revenue per visitor is AOV times conversion rate. So if you have 1% conversion rate and a $300 AOV, your revenue per visitor is 300. And ideally, that gives you sort of like a number that should be over 250 or 300, and then you can actually scale. If obviously you end up, let's say, increasing your conversion rate somehow and you get 2%, but now your AOV has dropped down to only, let's say, $125 from $300, well, you've doubled your conversion rate, which might look good on the papers, but now you're only making around 250 per revenue per visitor. I think that would be the sort of score you would get there. So you end up actually going down. So you're making less money overall. So I think that one's really important. I think another thing, you mentioned this briefly as well, but honestly, I think copywriting is that one thing where it's not the sexy thing. It's not the thing that you can just, you add this little bonus to your offer and now your AOV is like skyrocketed. But the copywriting, making someone actually understand how much pain they are in now and even amplifying it, that is the thing. I was just thinking, you were talking about the headache example. If I can relate that headache to how you're going to get less work done today and how you're going to get less work done relating to you losing clients and then you losing clients to not making as much money as you're making now, that just alleviates, it doesn't alleviate, that amplifies the pain of a headache to like the next level. You're like, okay, maybe I'll pay you $15 for a premium tablet of like paracetamol or something, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's also a big part of it. It's definitely not the sexy stuff where you just add like this little bonus and you get like a huge AOV lift, but it's more so like if you can dial this in, this is what makes those killer brands. If you can really relate it to those things people care about most. Would you add anything to that?
I think you're right. I also want to add one more thing because most people are so stuck up in these tiny little metrics. AOV, return on ad spend, LTV. The biggest thing is your MER. Like that is a big daddy keystone that you need to keep a track of. Like, do you keep a track of that? As long as that goes up, don't fuck with the system. Like, just keep it going because your blended MER will tell you everything about how your marketing is doing, right? And this is a big thing. This is also why a lot of people like they run Amazon ads and they see crazy return on ad spend and they think that Amazon is the next Meta. And so they'll divert all of their focus from Meta to Amazon, right? But the thing is, like, that's not what you need to do. I'm going a bit of a side tangent here. I'm going on a bit of a side tangent, but it's like your MER will tell you absolutely everything. In that scenario there, you if you see like, okay, Amazon ads are working, you go ahead and you test a little bit more. It doesn't mean you go and divert all of your attention onto Amazon ads because you don't know they work yet. Like, yeah, they got a crazy return on ad spend, but how much have you fucking spent on Amazon ads? Like, you haven't spent much. And the whole reason you're getting purchases on Amazon ads is because people are seeing your product on Meta and they're going ahead and they're purchasing on Amazon. That's the whole reason people that your return on ad spend is high. They're just seeing you there, and they trust Amazon as a distributor, and so they want to go ahead and buy off Amazon, but they're still buying your product from seeing your ad on Meta. So that's why Amazon will usually have a higher return on ad spend than Meta. That's why Google ads will probably have a higher return on ad spend than Meta, right? With Google ads, there's a bit more that comes into play, but with Meta, it's like if you get Meta right, people are going to know your brand. And you look at your MER, you understand like, okay, my marketing has worked. Since I put this ad up, my MER has jumped by 200%. Like, okay, that means this ad is working. I don't know why, like what the mechanism is behind it. And sometimes it's not going to be possible to track. Sometimes you're just not going to be able to track it. Um, Obviously try your best. And if you can, do track it. But if you can't, like, just understand, okay, I made this change and my MER went up, down. Take note of that. MER is the
Yeah.
most important metric ever.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you as well. And I think there's a bunch of shiny objects, especially now that we've got what's that app called where they let you actually run ads on games and stuff? I forgot the name of it. But there's an advertising platform now that you can actually run ads on games. Do you know the name?
I
I
I
don't
think
remember
Google
them
had
either.
a I think Google had a version of it.
No, but these guys were like they're like a full company that you can actually run ads on. And I think that's just again just like a shiny object. I think all it really comes down to is Meta, Google, Amazon, and I think those are like the 80-20 that you need to actually focus on.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, there's so many shiny objects. Like you can do Reddit ads, Pinterest ads, and all these ads. But the reality is that everyone who can purchase from you is on Meta. And if they're not purchasing from you, you either have a shit product, shit ads. And I think that would probably just be like the two things, shit product or shit ad. But that's what it really comes down to, keeping the focus on the fundamentals. And again, it doesn't really matter what platform you're advertising on. If you have good copy and there's people there who can buy from you, they'll end up buying from you anyway. So that's what it really comes down to. Just for everyone watching as well, how can they actually calculate their MER?
Is if you just take your revenue and divide it by all your marketing spend. It's simple. It's like how much return on all of your marketing spend are you getting?
Yeah. And just to let everyone know, including the agency costs, the
Yeah,
marketing managers that you have, like literally everything. And that is where your real profit is. That's what you want to increase. Because there's no point, making 16K profit, but then you have like an amazing team that charges you 15K a month for it. There's no
yeah.
there's no real leverage in that. I think that's definitely a big thing. All it really comes down to, we've talked about this so much as well, is just like the numbers and the marketing. Like if you have your numbers dialed in, if you have your marketing dialed in, then it will definitely work. Like they do go hand in hand. Would you say one's more important than the other? Like numbers or marketing? Would you say one's more important than the other?
I think there's only one thing more important than them, and that's the product. Like
Gotcha.
if you have a good product, you don't need great marketing. You know that you know if I'm again like going back to my Shilajit gummies, if my Shilajit gummies give you like fire breath, like you gain powers when you eat one of my gummies. Sounds like I'm advertising like fucking THC gummies, but yeah, if you like have one of my Shilajit gummies, my totally legal Shilajit gummies, and they give you some sort of superpower, like one day you eat them and you get like invisibility cloak, and the other day you eat them and you get super strength. The other day you eat them and you can fly. Like, I don't have to market that shit. You're going to know about it either way because it's such an amazing product. Such an amazing product. It's super cool. And people are just gonna love it. And if you have an amazing product, like, and you here's the thing, you have an amazing product, you don't need to do good marketing. Like you will sell. But if you have a good product and you also market, it's fucking insane. Like the growth that you can achieve, and this is exactly how brands could scale from zero to $1.2 billion in 3 years.
Yeah, definitely. There was someone who actually messaged me in our school community, and he was talking about this, but he was sort of like, yeah, not everyone has like a revolutionary product and everything. And I do agree, if you're just getting started, maybe this is your first or second brand or anything like that, and you don't have a revolutionary product, and I mean, maybe you've just taken it off like Alibaba or something, right? I think that's probably the next step for you. Like, actually make some money, invest into R&D, make a really, really fucking good product. But that's if that actually aligns with your goals. If you don't want that multi-billion-dollar exit and you're just trying to like make a few 100K here and there, that's up to you. But the real money really comes from when you invent a product. Like, inventors are the ones who actually get the big bucks, minus those guys who maybe invented
Yeah.
something and died broke. But people like Chad Janers from Grunz and everything, those guys, they're the ones who get the most money. Even IM8, like, they scaled to 100 million annual recurring revenue in like, I think 11 months. Like, that's unheard of. It's all because they have a genuinely good product. And maybe Beckham played a role.
Yeah, Sean actually, Sean from Evolve, he actually posted a decent article about this the other day where he was talking about how the rises of the world, the bootstrap companies, they will have amazing cash flow. Like, they will have amazing profit and they can scale. But it's not going to be anywhere near as fast as someone like Grant, right? And I mean, I guess capital is one of those things. Like, if you want to really facilitate hyper aggressive, like 10-figure growth, then yeah, go for funding. Like, you might need it because you need a shit ton of capital to facilitate that aggressive type of growth. But if you just want some cash flow and you want to scale, like, if this is your first, like Gunnar said, if this is your first or second brand, don't focus on really, don't focus on the multi-billion-dollar exit because you're not going to get that now. Sure, there might be a couple guys who get lucky and sort of like hit all the sort of conditions for scale and all of a sudden just skyrocket out of the moon. And yeah, sure, you can try engineer your business economics and all your marketing and your entire team around that. But the likelihood is still very low because you don't have what it takes to really facilitate that hyper amount of growth. Because as we already know, Grant scaled at a 0.3x return on ad spend on first purchase, right? It's so aggressive. That type of scale is so aggressive. And here's my point. Again, if this is your first or second brand, don't focus on that multi-billion-dollar exit because you're not going to get that now. You are currently in the process of building brands, and you're not building brands to make money. Like, yeah, money is a byproduct. You're building brands to improve your skill set. You're learning how to run a brand. You're learning how to market. You're learning how to create systems. You're learning how to manage people. You're learning how to talk to people. You're learning how to find suppliers and negotiate. You're learning how to find 3PLs and how to get faster shipping, right? You're learning all of these different things, and they are so essential. And once you, like, how can I explain it? It's like the straw that breaks a camel's back, right? Once you learn that one thing that's really holding you back, you might learn 101 different things, and you might learn the 102nd thing, and all of a sudden you just break through. It's like, imagine you have a rock in front of you, right? And you're trying to break this rock by smashing on other rocks, and you go through, and it's like you go through 100 different rocks, and none of them, like, nothing's breaking your rock. But the thing is there will be one rock where you hit your rock against that rock, and it will just snap. It'll break in half, and that's a breaking point. And you can't really stop until you learn all of the fundamental skills. So all the copywriting, media buying isn't really a skill. Like, don't cope with that. Don't cope with the media buying. It's honestly so simple. Don't overcomplicate it at all. But once you have these skills, go ahead and then you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna put some more effort into R&D. And that's when your multi-billion-dollar plan to exit can really sort of start to manifest. Like, that is when it happens. It doesn't happen before you earn the skill sets. You need the skills. Like, Chad Janis he was a private equity investor and an angel investor prior to starting Grunz. And he saw how it all worked in the back. Like, he saw how it all worked. He spent years learning this stuff, building the skills, understanding everything. Then when he went ahead and opened Grunz, he spent a fuckload of money and a fuckload of time just in the R&D time, in the R&D space, right? He was just constantly developing on a revolutionary product that could shake the world.
Mm.
And he had a vision. Yeah, it did. It literally did. Like, this guy went from 0 to $1.2 billion. Now, like, we're saying this on YouTube, but most people don't understand how crazy it is. I want you to sort of like just understand how crazy $1.2 billion is to exit in that amount of time in 3 years.
It's
Like,
yeah,
it's unheard of.
definitely pretty crazy.
It's unheard of.
Yeah, there was. I remember. I don't know. I don't think I should be quoted for this, but I think if you 1,000,000 seconds is done in like 3 weeks or 3 months, but if you're supposed to count 1,000,000,000 seconds, it takes around 30 years. Like that's the difference between that's like the scale we're actually talking about when it comes to the $1 billion exit. But look, I think that's really it for this podcast. Do you have anything else you think we could potentially talk about?
Thank you for letting me rant.
That's all right, bro. But it was good. I think there was definitely some value in this podcast. I don't know.
Definitely.
Do we have any ideas for next time? What we could do next time?
Comment your ideas down below. I think that would be
Comment
very,
your
very.
ideas. Definitely not
Comment.
comment bait.
Yeah, definitely not comment bait. No, but genuinely, comment what you guys want to hear more of, what topics you want covered, and we'll cover them in the next podcast. I think we're planning on making this a bi-weekly thing or something like that. So
Potentially.
yeah, comment what you want covered down below, and we'll cover that in the next podcast. And if you have any specific questions, go ahead and answer that. Ask them, and yeah, subscribe as well.
Subscribe as well. Chances are you're never going to see us ever again. So if you do want to watch any of our other podcasts, I guess, then you should probably subscribe as well. But yeah, talk to you all very, very soon.